Okay. O Brother, Where Art Thou? And the Odyssey. Movies have always drawn inspiration from classic works throughout time to reimagine them into today's media, whether it be movies, TVs, magazines, video games, you name it. There is some form of classic storytelling going on. Now, even though they are classic, we may not have directly heard them right away. An example of this is O Brother, Where Art Thou, referencing a nearly 1,000-year-old piece of literature. Now, according to Encyclopedia Britannica, in Homer's Odyssey was told during the 8th century, being only orally from person to person, finally later being written down. According to an interview done by Charlie Rose with the cast and director of the film, they drew much inspiration from the Odyssey, and I'll be telling you of those similarities between the movie and the work. According to American Film Institute, O Brother, Where Art Thou is based on Everett, Delmar, and Pete, who are prisoners in 1930s Mississippi. After escaping from a chain gang while they are imprisoned, they try to reach Everett's home to recover the buried treasure of a bank heist that they are confronted by many characters and events that are loosely based on the Homeric epic that is the Odyssey. Now, Everett, the leader of his band of men, is our hero that resembles the ancient Greek hero Odysseus. According to the Odyssey, there are two traits referenced throughout both that are referenced throughout both. Nostos, that being of I want to go home, this is a great journey, but ultimately everyone does want to go home. At the same time, Kleos, which is the reason I'm leaving is I want to get glory, I want to get fame, I want to get rich. So, what happens is they both share the concept of Nostos, as they both do seek to go home. He wants to be reunited with his family. He also is plagued with the trait of Kleos, wanting the glory, and he wants that buried treasure that's back home. It's the whole reason that they're taking on this huge risk. Everett and Odysseus both share these long and treacherous journey home that is riddled with many trials they must overcome. A reference to an encounter of Odysseus's, and an enemy to him as in Everett is Big Dan T, who is with one eye as that of Polyphemus, the Cyclops. Now, just like the Cyclops, Big Dan T attacks Everett and his men. It is in Big Dan T's death that we see another reference to the Odyssey, in the way he is killed with a flaming wooden cross, same as how Odysseus attacks his enemy with the Cyclops. Now, many other minor references to the Odyssey are riddled throughout O Brother, Where Art Thou? The blind railroad conductor tells the future of Everett and his men, same as Tiresias' prophecy to Odysseus. It is also seen when Everett and his men wear beards to sneak into a rally that Everett can talk to Penny, in reference to Odysseus' disguise by Athena, so he can talk to his wife. The three girls singing in the river that lure Everett and his men to drink and capture Pete are similar to the sirens in the Odyssey. Whenever they're on the boat and they run into the rocks and they see the sirens wailing and they want to go off the side. The last and biggest reference to the Odyssey is the moment that Everett and Odysseus go home. Now, when Everett finally goes home, he sees his wife being followed by Vernon T. Waldrop, a suitor. Also, when Everett sees his daughter, they don't recognize him, even though he tells them it is truly him. Now, this is similar to Odysseus when he goes to his son, Telemachus. Sorry if I said that wrong. Telemachus. And even when he says it's really him under the skies, he pulls it off and he shows it, his son still doesn't believe it. He thinks it's some trick by the gods. Finally, Penny loves Everett, but almost settles for the suitor, Vernon, although in the end she does decide on Everett, same as the Odyssey, where Odysseus' wife does end up back with Odysseus. Even though they had suitors, their life went on, but all in all, they did come home. They had some hardships, but they finally did get that that trait of nostos. They finally got home, and in the same with that, they kind of had that kleos too. Now, Homer's Odyssey is a great piece of widely known literature, and O Brother, Where Art Thou retold the story in a modern way through the big screen. Now, just to reiterate, that according to an article by Janice Siegel, that in the movie Everett is the fabled hero Odysseus from the Odyssey. Now, all of today's modern work were in some way impacted by notable storytellers throughout history, but sometimes catching those instances are harder than they seem. Just remember, everything isn't always original. You always want to try to find the underlying plot line and any references to old literature. I mean, who would have thought a work from 2000 about some Mississippi prisoners escaping would have referenced an ancient Greek, not philosopher, but a storyteller who just so happened to have this story told time and time again until someone finally wrote it down. All in all, O Brother, Where Art Thou and the Odyssey do share all these similar traits. And that's that. Thank you for listening.